They say when a man finds out his wife is cheating, he goes through 5 stages of grief: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. Well, screw that. I went straight to revenge. Olivia thought she could rip my life apart, tear my family in two, and walk away unscathed? With my money, my business, and her fresh little gym rat of a boyfriend? No. She made one fatal mistake. She forgot that I know exactly what she values most. And I know exactly how to take it from her. 12 years. That's how long I was married to Olivia. 12 years of building a life together, 2 kids, a business, a home that people envied. 12 years of believing we were partners. Looking back, I feel like a fool. The signs were all there, I just refused to see them. Olivia was never the kind of woman who settled. She always needed more. More attention, more admiration, more luxury. When we met, she was a model, coasting on her beauty and charm, but I helped her refine that. I made her perfect. Every little enhancement, subtle, natural, expensive, was done by my hands. She was my masterpiece. And she knew it. We had everything. The $1 million house in Beverly Hills. Exotic vacations, the best schools for Ethan and Sophie. Cars that cost more than most people's mortgages. My plastic surgery clinic was one of the top in LA, and Olivia, always the center of attention, was the perfect advertisement for my work. People wanted to look like her. She was living proof that I could turn an aging face into something flawless. But perfect things don't last. I started noticing the little things first. Olivia became obsessed with the gym. She used to laugh at the women who spent hours working out, but suddenly, she was one of them. Twice a day, every day, never missing a session. She started dressing differently, wearing tighter clothes, more makeup. Not for me, though. And then there were the girls' nights. First, I believed her. Why wouldn't I? She had friends, and they went out all the time. But then the stories started changing. One night she was at a rooftop bar, the next she was at a charity gala. Only when I checked their social media, there were no pictures of her. No tags, no posts. Just silence. I told myself I was paranoid. Until I saw the text. It happened on a Tuesday. She was in the shower, and her phone was charging on the nightstand. Normally, I wouldn't have looked, but the screen lit up with a message from a name I didn't recognize. Luke Mercer. My gut twisted, and before I could stop myself, I picked up the phone. First, it was just flirty messages. Then photos. Then details, motel addresses, times, plans. I felt my pulse slow, my vision narrow. My wife wasn't just cheating on me. She was leaving me. She was planning to take half of my money, my business, everything, and start a new life with a 29-year-old personal trainer who probably couldn't spell alimony, let alone understand how much she was about to screw me over. And that's when it hit me. Olivia thought she was playing a game, but I've spent my entire career studying faces, learning how to manipulate them, how to enhance or destroy them with a single stroke of my scalpel. She loved her beauty. It was her currency, her power, her identity, and I was going to take it from her. But first, I had to make her trust me again. Confrontation? Too obvious. Too emotional. Too predictable. That's what an amateur would do. Scream, accuse, demand explanations. But me? I played the long game. Olivia had to believe she was in control. She had to think I was still the doting, clueless husband. That's why, when I found out about her affair, I didn't rage. I didn't cry. I didn't even flinch. I simply started watching. Every lie. Every excuse. Every little flicker of guilt that never lasted long enough to be real. She would come home late, smelling like cologne that wasn't mine, mumbling some half-assed excuse about drinks with the girls, and I would nod, kiss her on the forehead, and tell her to have fun next time. She thought she was getting away with it, that I was some idiot too blind to see the signs. And that belief, that arrogance, that was my weapon. I started playing the role of the neglectful husband. I let her think I was pulling away, distracted by work, missing the cues that she was so unhappy. I started forgetting important dates, being distant at dinners, all the while pushing her further into the arms of her glorified personal trainer. And just like that, she fell for it. Hook, line, and sinker. Then came the big reveal. The moment she was waiting for, the moment I broke. I sat her down one evening, hands trembling just enough to be convincing, and told her I had been thinking a lot about our marriage, that I realized I had let things slip, that I had taken her for granted, that I wanted to fix us. I could practically see the smug satisfaction in her eyes as she nodded, pretending to be hesitant, pretending she wasn't already planning how to break the news to me in a few months. And then I dropped the bait. I told her I wanted to do something special for her. A gift. Something that would show how much I still loved her. I told her about an exclusive new procedure I had been developing. One that would make her look 10 years younger, something no other woman had access to. The ultimate beauty secret. She hesitated just for a second. Not because she didn't want it, but because she wanted to make me work for it. Wanted to milk the moment. Make me beg to prove my devotion. So I did. I played my part. I told her how stunning she was, how much I wanted the world to see her as I did, how much she deserved this. And then she smiled. The kind of satisfied, self-satisfied grin only a woman who thinks she's won can give. Maybe, she said, as if she wasn't already mentally booking her post-surgery unveiling party in her head. I knew right then I had her. From that moment, everything was in motion. I scheduled the surgery, played the role of the loving husband desperate to rekindle the flame. I took her out, bought her gifts, made her feel like the queen she thought she was. And the best part? She lapped it up. She thought she was in control, that she was using me. She had no idea. No idea that every financial document had already been altered. That on paper, my business was already crumbling, drowning in debts and legal issues. That by the time she got to the divorce lawyers, there would be nothing left for her to take. No idea that while she was busy picking out post-surgery vacation spots, I was carefully planning every detail of what would happen when she woke up from that operating table. She thought she was about to secure the perfect future. She was about to lose everything. People always assume revenge is about rage, about reckless destruction, but that's where they go wrong. Real revenge isn't loud. It's meticulous, patient, strategic. It's watching your enemy walk into the trap willingly, thinking they're stepping into paradise, only to realize too late that the ground beneath them is crumbling. And that's exactly what Olivia was doing. Running straight into my hands. The date was set. The exclusive, one-of-a-kind procedure I had promised her was scheduled for the following month. I spent weeks perfecting every detail, designing the perfect narrative. I needed this to be seamless. No suspicions, no second-guessing. She had to believe that this was her choice. I started small. Subtle whispers of insecurity, carefully planted, watered, and nurtured over time. The way I'd linger a little too long at photos of younger women. The offhand comments about how flawless certain celebrities looked. Their ageless glow. The expertly placed moments of hesitation when she asked if she still looked as good as she did when we first met. It was almost too easy. She took the bait as I knew she would. The gym sessions became longer, the mirror staring more intense. She started researching procedures on her own, subtly bringing them up in conversation, asking if I had heard of the latest skin-tightening techniques, the newest non-invasive lifts. And then, right on cue came the emotional shift, the desperation, the need to feel wanted, adored. The thing about people like Olivia is that they don't just want to be beautiful. They want to be worshipped, and she had already felt the shift happening. She wasn't the youngest woman in the room anymore. Men still looked, but not for as long. Attention still came, but not as easily. That realization, that fear, it's like watching an addict who knows their supply is running low. So when I finally caved and told her I had been developing a new, revolutionary treatment, something that could make her look 10 years younger, effortlessly, something that I hadn't even made available to the public yet, her entire demeanor changed. She was hooked. I made it exclusive, special, something only she would have access to. I let her think she was the exception, the chosen one, the first to experience my greatest work yet. She couldn't say yes fast enough. In the weeks leading up to the surgery, I made sure everything else was set in motion. My finances moved. Every document, every real business asset, safely tucked away where neither she nor the courts could touch them. On paper, my clinic was a financial mess. Mismanaged, in debt, barely holding on. Thanks to some creative accounting and a well-placed anonymous whistleblower, an IRS investigation was already brewing in the background. By the time she was ready to file for divorce and demand half, the only thing she'd be getting was a pile of liabilities. But that was just the financial side of things. The real masterpiece, that was going to be her face. I spent nights in my office, running through simulations, designing the perfect outcome. Not something grotesque, no, that would be too obvious. Too easy to undo. No, I needed something more subtle, more insidious. Something that would age her overnight in a way no surgeon could fix. Slight changes to the fat distribution, micro-adjustments to the muscle structure, delicate shifts in the natural tension of the skin. Nothing that could be immediately traced, nothing that would look wrong to the untrained eye. Just off. The kind of change that makes people tilt their heads and say, wow, you look different. The kind of face that no longer stops conversations, that no longer holds the gaze of a room. The kind of beauty that fades, just enough to slip from remarkable to forgettable. And the best part? She would have no idea. Not at first. Not until it was too late. Because beauty isn't just about symmetry, or smoothness, or youth. It's about presence. About the way people react to you, the way they see you. And Olivia? She was about to find out exactly what it feels like to be invisible. The night before the surgery, she kissed me on the cheek and whispered that she was happy we were finding our way back to each other. That was the moment I knew. She truly believed I was still in love with her. That I had forgiven her. That I was desperate to keep her. That was the moment I knew I had won. They say revenge is a dark road, but I've always been comfortable in the shadows. Olivia thought she had me figured out. Thought she could take my money, my business, and my dignity while walking off into the sunset with her glorified gym rat. She thought this surgery was her final victory, her parting gift from the fool she had manipulated for years. What she didn't realize was that when she went under the knife, she wasn't waking up as Olivia Caldwell, the goddess everyone worshipped. She was waking up as someone entirely different, someone unremarkable, someone who would never command a room again. She was waking up as no one. The morning of the surgery, Olivia was glowing, practically giddy. She kissed me with a tenderness that almost made me laugh. This was a woman who had already planned her exit, convinced she was leaving with everything while I pathetically clung to her. She had no idea that I had already won. No idea that by the time she woke up, the power she had wielded so effortlessly over people, the beauty she had used to manipulate and control, would be gone. I watched her settle onto the operating table, her breath slowing as the anesthesia took hold, her body going limp. There was something poetic about it, really. She had put herself entirely in my hands, trusting me completely, believing I was giving her a gift, when in reality, I was about to take everything. I could have ruined her in an instant, left her unrecognizable, scarred, something grotesque. But that would have been too obvious, too crude. No, my revenge had to be subtle, perfect. I made the smallest, most imperceptible changes, nothing that would ever be classified as a mistake. I adjusted the way her cheeks held volume, shifted the tension in the muscles around her eyes, changed the delicate structure of her jawline. Nothing dramatic, nothing grotesque, just off. She would heal beautifully, stare into the mirror, and believe she was still the same, maybe even better. But the world around her would start reacting differently. A half-second less of attention, a slight hesitation before someone recognized her. Compliments that sounded a little less enthusiastic. She would still be beautiful, but no longer extraordinary. No longer the woman who could command a room just by walking in. And she would have no idea why. I stood back and admired my work. The surgery had been flawless. There would be no swelling, no redness, no bruising. In a few days, she would step out into the world expecting to see the same reverence in people's eyes as always. And slowly, painfully, she would start to realize that something was wrong, that she wasn't seen the same way anymore, that the admiration she thrived on was fading, slipping through her fingers like sand, and she wouldn't know how to stop it. She woke up groggy but excited, immediately reaching for a mirror, smiling at her reflection, unaware that her downfall had already begun. I told her it was perfect, that she looked stunning, that she had never been more beautiful. And she believed me, because why wouldn't she? I had built her once. She trusted me to build her again. She had no idea I had just taken everything from her. At first, Olivia was euphoric. She spent hours in front of the mirror, marveling at how refreshed she looked, how much younger she felt. She took selfies, flooded her social media with photos, waiting for the praise to come rolling in. But something was off. The likes weren't coming in as fast. The comments were different. "You look amazing. So different. Wow. I almost didn't recognize you." First, she brushed it off. But then, at a high-profile charity event, the kind of place where she was usually the center of attention, something shifted. People glanced at her but didn't linger. Conversations fizzled out too quickly. When photographers snapped pictures, they didn't adjust their angles to highlight her. They treated her like just another guest. Olivia, who had always been the woman, the one others envied, was suddenly just there. She spent the entire night in the bathroom, staring at her reflection, trying to understand what was happening. She still looked beautiful, didn't she? Why didn't they see it? Why weren't they reacting the way they always had? She didn't understand, couldn't process it. And that was the brilliance of it. There was nothing wrong with her. No surgeon would ever be able to fix what had happened because nothing technically had gone wrong. I had simply taken away the presence she had always carried, the subtle harmony of features that made her unforgettable. And now she was just another pretty woman in a sea of them. And then Luke left her. 2 weeks after the surgery, she came home to find his things gone. No fight, no warning, just a single text message. "I don't know what it is, Liv, but you've changed. It's not working out." She spiraled, started wearing heavier makeup, trying new hairstyles, booking consultations with other surgeons, desperate to understand why the world was suddenly treating her differently. But no one could tell her. Every doctor, every expert, every person she begged for answers said the same thing: "You look great." And that was the final blow. Because if everyone told her she still looked beautiful, if there was nothing wrong with her, then the problem wasn't her face. The problem was her. She came to me weeks later, hands shaking, eyes hollow. "Nate," she whispered, voice barely holding together. "I think something's wrong with my face." I tilted my head, pretending to examine her. She was waiting for me to say it, to tell her that I saw it too, that something had gone wrong, that I could fix it. Instead, I smiled. "You look perfect." She blinked. I watched the color drain from her face, watched the realization settle in like a slow-moving poison. If the man who had sculpted her, the one person she trusted to tell her the truth, believed she was fine, then the problem wasn't her surgery. It was her. She left without another word. And just like that, she disappeared. I heard bits and pieces after that. She sold the house, drained her savings chasing one surgeon after another, desperately searching for someone who could bring her back to what she had been. But no one could, because what she had lost wasn't something a knife could fix. She had built her entire identity on being desired, on the way people reacted to her. And now no one saw her the way they used to. She wasn't Olivia Caldwell, the woman every man wanted and every woman envied. She was just another face in the crowd. And me? My business is thriving. My reputation is intact. My name is spotless. Every now and then, I come across an old picture of her, the Olivia that once was the woman who thought she could destroy me. I smile, because I know. She lost, and I won.